talk about not my Twitter account, but Majorie. Am I saying her name right? Majorie Taylor Greene's Twitter account. Okay, for those of you that don't know, Majorie Taylor Greene is a representative from the state of Georgia. She's a government official. She's in Congress. She does a lot of stuff related to that. And she basically went, and she basically would go on the record on Twitter and post a lot of misleading information about vaccinations, about statistics regarding vaccinations, about QAnon, which is basically this like super right group that has a lot of conspiracy theories. She would retweet a lot of this information and spread it like it was fact, when in reality it wasn't. And so Twitter's action was to take her account and say, fuck you, bye bye, you're out, and basically left her in the dust. Okay, so I'm going to get to what I feel about Majorie Taylor Greene's situation, but I kind of want to talk about Twitter's accountability standards and social media's accountability standards to begin with. I understand that misinformation gets spread on a daily basis. It does. Okay. It's going to happen no matter what. It doesn't matter if it's Majorie Taylor Greene or freaking Hunter from North Carolina with 2 followers. Okay. He's going to be spreading fake news. People spread fake news. It is what it is. Okay. But it's about the following. Completely understand that. Totally. But Twitter has to develop a system of accountability. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram has to develop a system of accountability if you want this shit to succeed. Okay, if you want there to actually be some consequences for this. And I'm not saying like arrest people for posting, freaking hate speech on IG or whatever. Like sure, I don't think they should be arrested, but that's your opinion. I understand that in the case of like Majorie Taylor Greene, she was spreading QAnon theories and stuff that was not true. It's factually incorrect, misinformation about vaccines, things of that stuff. But I think there needs to be something similar. And hear me out. I think there needs to be something similar to like the 3 strikes law. So California back in the 1990s, when it came to drug crimes, had a law called the 3 strikes law, where basically like if you, so basically like each strike would be like a progressively more unfair, like progressively harsher punishment until you got to the 3rd strike, then you were in prison for life. So it's kind of like that, right? So like the 1st strike would just be like a little slap on the wrist. And then the 2nd strike would be like, okay, like this is a little more serious. And then the 3rd strike would be like, all right, fuck out of here. I think Twitter needs to put something, Twitter, social media, both need to put something a little bit like that into place. And I feel like it could be used, and I think it would be used very beneficially. So here's what I mean. Okay. So something similar, like a kind of like a 3 strikes thing that I came up with, particularly when it came to big platformed creators. So I'm assuming you're verified. Okay. This is my 3 strikes law. So the 1st strike law, so the 1st strike could be like a warning on your account, like a physical bulletin placed on like your bio or whatever, and you can inhibit the user from posting for a couple of days. Okay. So you could just kind of like stop that, basically they couldn't, like, it was it'd be suspended for an X amount of time. Okay. 2nd strike could basically be like taking the verified marker away. This is one I think that Twitter needs to use more. So I was going through like Twitter's verification rules. You can get verified, whatever, like normally, blah, 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 like based on, different sort of things. But stripping away of verification is something that happens very, 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 very rarely, if not at all. They don't strip the verified marker away. The verified marker is what gives these accounts credibility. Majorie Taylor Greene without the blue check mark would look like a fool if she was writing like U.S. House official and stuff in her bio. Excuse me, I need to drink some water. Sorry, the throat once again. But I feel like if you take away the blue check mark, you take away a significant amount of credibility. If you're like, oh my God, I'm in the U.S. House of Representatives, everyone's gonna be like, bro, where's your check mark? You're not an official politician. You're not real. Like, that blue check mark has a lot more social currency than like anyone gives it credit for, in my opinion. I think a lot of people could be like, you're fucking wrong, whatever. But I think 100% in today's society with the blue, if you have a blue check, people listen to you. You have a blue check and you comment on some rando's post, that rando is going to get 1,800 likes on their tweet. Okay. The blue check has social clout and the blue check is in people's minds. It's a truth. Okay. And if you take that away as the 2nd strike, that's big. That's a big hit on your platform. I think a lot of people would unfollow you if the blue check got taken away. And then the third strike, you could just hit them with the serious offense of like, all right, you're off Twitter, which is what Majorie Taylor Greene got hit with. But I feel like if there was a 3 strikes rule, it would be a little bit more fair. I'm not saying that I disagree with the decision on Twitter's part. I think it's a fair warranted decision. She was spreading a lot of misinformation. It was, totally wrong. Okay, you want to hit her off, go for it. But I'm saying there are going to be a lot more cases in the future where it's like people, there's a small group, a small community on Twitter that's calling whatever, but a lot of people are like, wait, hold on. I don't think it's necessarily hate speech. Can we hold the phone for just a second? Like, I feel like there's going to be a lot of that. So what my plan is just like, hey, screw that. Do the 3 strikes. I feel like the 3 strikes are going to be like they could be like a systematic rule format that you could follow. And if you're on the 3rd strike, you're out. I think that's fair. And the fact that Twitter very rarely, I don't know about IG or Facebook or whatever, but Twitter, anyone, Jesus, fuck this Wi-Fi, dude, for real. I'm so fucking over this. Twitter rarely strips anyone of verification. That is a problem. That is a problem. You're keeping them with the blue check and then saying like, "Oh, get out of here!" Like, strip them with the blue check. See what happens. I'm telling you, it's a big thing. And they become a normal account and they have the same privileges as a normal person. Their information is incredible. They just look like a normal Twitter freaking person. So yeah, I do think I do agree with the decision for the most part to take Majorie's account off Twitter. 100%. She's spreading fucking fake news. Okay, totally. But we need to develop a system of accountability with social media, particularly when it comes to borderline hate speech or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Okay, because there are going to be instances which are a little bit more borderline. Instances are a little more, I don't know how to say it, but a little more, teetering. And this is not one of them, but they're going to happen in the future. So I feel like it's probably best to get ahead of it right now and to say, okay, let's make sure that framework is in place so that the next time there is something that's borderline, we can hit them with 1 punishment and then 2 and then 3 and then they're out. Okay, that's fair for everybody. You're keeping it universal. The framework is in place for the 3 strikes and you're out thing that I suggested earlier. And if you can do that, I think it'll be great. I think it'll be fantastic, and you are bound to create a kind of healthier environment for speech. But I'm not saying them taking Majorie Taylor Greene's account was bad. That was a particular situation where it was so bad to the point where you could probably kick her off and get away with it, and it's fine, But I'm just saying for the future, think about the future because things could get a little frisky in the future. Okay,